Sizewell C nuclear plant costs surge to £38 billion, impact on energy bills and future plans. The Sizewell C nuclear power plant's construction budget has surged to £38 billion, pushing household energy costs upward by £1 per month for at least a decade. This figure marks a stark contrast to the previously announced £20 billion estimate, which had overlooked inflation and financial risks. The UK government has pledged a 44.9% stake in the project, alongside investments from Centrica, EDF, Caisse, and Amber Infrastructure, ensuring a mix of equity and debt funding. The project's cost overrun, now nearly double the initial projection, has sparked debates over who bears the financial burden. But here's where it gets controversial. While the government insists the project will create thousands of jobs and deliver clean energy, critics argue the costs are unfairly shifted onto taxpayers. Alison Downes of the Stop Sizewell C campaign claims the public purse, not private investors, will foot the bill for inevitable cost overruns, highlighting the lack of transparency in funding mechanisms. She notes that the government's admission of the £38 billion figure comes only after contracts are signed, underscoring the urgency of the situation. Tom Greatrex of the Nuclear Industry Association defends the project as a money well spent, emphasizing its potential to generate thousands upon thousands of good jobs and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. He credits the Sizewell C design, which draws inspiration from Hinkley Point C, as being 85% more efficient, potentially cutting costs by up to 30% compared to the Somerset plant. However, Hinkley Point C's delays and budget overruns, initially forecasted at £18 billion, have pushed its final cost to £46 billion, raising concerns about the project's viability. The Treasury estimates Sizewell C will create 10,000 direct jobs, with additional employment in supply chains, and provide enough energy to power 6 million homes. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband calls the project a once-in-a-generation opportunity to revitalize the UK's nuclear sector, which has seen no new plants operational since 1995. Yet, the project's delayed start and high costs have left critics questioning whether the government's approach aligns with long-term sustainability goals. The ownership structure includes the UK government, 44.9%, Caisse, 20%, Centrica, 15%, EDF, 12.5%, and Amber Infrastructure, 7.6%. Funding comes from a blend of equity, £8.8 billion, and debt, £36.6 billion, with interest payments partly funded by a £1 monthly levy on electricity users during the construction phase. The National Wealth Fund, NWF, aims to provide a buffer against cost overruns, though it may not cover the full loan amount. France's Preference Assurance Export has also proposed a £5 billion debt guarantee to support the project's commercial bank loans. Proponents argue the project is a necessary step toward reducing carbon emissions and ensuring energy independence, while opponents warn of excessive financial risks. As the UK grapples with its nuclear legacy, the Sizewell C debate underscores a broader tension between economic priorities and environmental goals. Should the public shoulder the brunt of these costs, or does the government have the responsibility to ensure projects deliver on their promises? The answer hinges on balancing fiscal accountability with the urgent need for clean energy. UK Greenlights Sizewell C, Caisse investment fuels nuclear revival. Get ready for a nuclear power boost in the UK. The government has just given the green light to the Sizewell C nuclear plant, and it's a big deal. This project, worth a whopping £38 billion, is set to be a game-changer for the country's energy landscape. But here's the twist, it's not just the British government backing it. A Canadian pension fund, Caisse, has stepped in with a 20% stake, alongside other investors like Centrica and Amber Infrastructure. The British state will be the major player, holding a 44.9% share, but this international collaboration is an intriguing development. Sizewell C is more than just a power plant, it's a symbol of Europe's nuclear revival. With aging nuclear fleets across the continent, countries are turning to new plans to boost energy security and meet climate goals. And the impact? Well, it's massive. During construction, Sizewell C is expected to create around 10,000 jobs, a significant economic boost. Once built, it will generate enough electricity to power approximately 6 million homes. That's a lot of clean, reliable energy. But here's where it gets controversial: the funding model. Sizewell C will use a regulated asset base (RAB) model, which means the companies building it will be paid during construction. This reduces their risk and makes financing cheaper, but critics argue it could leave taxpayers on the hook for any cost overruns or delays. The RAB model has been used before, notably for London's Thames Tideway Tunnel project, so it's not without its skeptics. And with the French state-owned EDF's Hinkley Point C nuclear plant facing delays and cost overruns, some might question the wisdom of this approach. Sizewell C's journey has been a long one. First proposed in the early 2010s, it was initially planned as a joint venture with China General Nuclear Power Group. However, security concerns led the UK government to buy out the Chinese firm's stake in 2022. The project's estimated cost has also ballooned, from initial estimates of around £20 billion to the government's current estimate of £38 billion. That's a significant increase, and it raises questions about the financial viability of such large-scale nuclear projects. France's EDF, a key player in this story, has committed around £1.1 billion to Sizewell, while Centrica has pledged £1.3 billion for construction funding. The British National Wealth Fund will provide most of the debt finance, backed by a debt guarantee from France's export credit agency, France Assurance Export. So, what do you think? Is Sizewell C a step towards a brighter, more secure energy future, or a risky venture that could burden taxpayers? The debate is open, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The future of nuclear power, Sizewell C's budget battle. Is this the dawn of a new era for nuclear energy? Sizewell C must stay within budget first ***. Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, has boldly proclaimed that we are entering a new golden age for nuclear energy as he approved the ambitious £38 billion Sizewell C megaplant project in Suffolk. From Centrica's perspective, this venture certainly appears golden. The British gas owner is committing £1.3 billion for a 15% equity stake in Sizewell, and the terms seem quite favourable for them. Centrica's detailed breakdown of how Sizewell's financing works has proven to be more enlightening than the government's explanations. It highlights the lengths to which officials have gone to entice private investors into a project that was initially projected to cost £20 billion. In essence, Centrica anticipates achieving an internal rate of return exceeding 12% if the final cost of Sizewell reaches £40 billion, with all figures adjusted to 2024 prices. However, the more intriguing aspect arises when considering potential cost overruns. If the construction expenses soar to £47.7 billion, Centrica still expects a return above 10%. While this figure is nominal and requires adjusting for inflation, it remains a respectable return. Importantly, this is the lowest return they can expect. Beyond £47.7 billion, the financial burden will fall on taxpayers or consumers. Chris O'Shea, the CEO of Centrica, described the investment terms as acceptable, a sentiment echoed by the stock market, which saw Centrica's shares rise by 4%. Analysts from Jefferies noted that there are robust protections in place. Other investors include the Canadian firm Caisse, holding a 20% stake, and Amber Infrastructure from the UK with 7.6%, alongside the government, 44.9%, and French developer EDF, 12.5%.